Bitcoin smashed $50,000 and it is absolutely crazy because most people aren't even talking about crypto. If you're watching this video and you've been thinking about crypto and you haven't invested, you're like, hey, it was $15,000 not so long ago and now it's hitting 50K. Where is the top for this cycle? How high can Bitcoin actually go? Nobody really knows. But in this video, I want to share with you exactly what my portfolio looks like, all the altcoins that I have, and what I'm expecting the prices to be at the top of this bull cycle, or at least when I want to be selling. So if you're interested in what my thoughts are, then definitely keep watching. Hey guys, my name's Ravi and welcome back to Personal Finance with Ravi Sharma. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button because I talk about real estate, cryptocurrency, and financial freedom. Now, if you are interested in more real estate content, then this is the place to be. Occasionally, I'll make some videos about crypto. There are hundreds of videos on this channel and some even with a whiteboard. So definitely go check out all those videos. And if you want to download a free ebook around property investing, then definitely use the link in the description below. As of recording this, it's 14th of February, 2024. And I'm looking at what the next 12 to 18 months looks like in cryptocurrency. I've been getting a lot of requests from you guys to share what my portfolio looks like, how is it different from the last cycle, and when am I expecting to actually sell. First up, the portfolio is broken into 4 quadrants. The 4 quadrants are basically going how much of an allocation based on the risk versus reward, and that's how it's all broken out. And it'll make so much more sense as we go through this video. Now, what makes up the largest portion of my portfolio is the king and queen, being Bitcoin and Ethereum. Yes, it's boring, but the truth is, this is the stuff that I can probably rely on to get me through this market. And if we do see a correction and we don't see a bull market, these are probably going to hold their value the most compared to the rest of the altcoins on this list. So the biggest holding I have is actually Ethereum over Bitcoin. So Ethereum is currently 32% of my portfolio. Bitcoin is 23%. And you can see already it makes up 55% of my entire portfolio. Initially, when I'm starting out, it was sort of like 45 to 50%, half of my portfolio in across these 2 assets. But as we've seen prices change up, we've seen it go from like a 48% all the way up to a 55%. If this cycle is to play out like previous cycles, then we should see Bitcoin absolutely take off first before the rest of the altcoins move. So could this 55% turn into like sort of 60 to 62%? Yes, that's probably what I expect. But at the same time, we could see a lot of that fall away from Ethereum as well. Now, despite the fact that I believe in Bitcoin and I think it's going to do amazing things while most people think it's still a scam, I'm definitely not here holding on thinking I'm going to hold on for the next 10 years and hope that it does change the world. At the end of the day, I'm still in wealth accumulation mode. I'm not really looking to just protect my wealth. If I was looking at doing that, I would definitely have a portion towards Bitcoin and never sell. So the idea is that I could rotate from Bitcoin into more alt positions, or more likely what's going to happen is I'm going to sell all that Bitcoin, bring it back into real estate, and then plug away my money into real estate. Because that's the foundational stuff that my portfolio is built on, and that's what I'm bringing the money back to. Now, currently Bitcoin is at around $50,000, just shy of that, and the top of this market could be anywhere. But my guesstimate at the moment is looking like 100 to 130K USD. Now, depending on what day of the week I ask my friends or people I know, some people think that that's way too conservative and others think that that'll never happen. Let me know what your thoughts are on where you think Bitcoin will top out in 2025. So if we are to see a price of say 130K USD, from its current price of 50K, you're looking at pretty much a 2.5x from this point. And with Ethereum currently at about 2,600, I think we can go do a 5 to 6x from here as we get between $10,000 and $13,000. Now keep in mind, some of my Ethereum is attached to NFTs. Just when you thought crypto didn't make any sense, well then you need to understand what NFTs are. And although I haven't been actually actively buying more, I still hold a lot of my NFTs that I had from the last cycle. Now the thing with this is that any of those could absolutely take off, do a 5x, and then the maths around where my portfolio ends up could be completely different. For example, if I have my Bored Ape that goes from a floor of say 23 ETH all the way up to say 46 ETH, which would be a 2x, and then the Ethereum price went up by 5x, then effectively I'm getting a 10x on my original value. So that would be like saying I'm putting in $50,000 and getting a 10x getting me 500K. Now for that to actually work out, I would have to time it perfectly. It would require Ethereum to actually go up by 5x, and it will also require Bored Apes to actually go 2x where the floor is currently. Now it's probably worth noting that nobody has a clue as to where prices will go. Yes, I made videos in 2022 and said, hey, DCAing into this market is probably the best thing you could do. You'd be up quite a bit on your initial investment right now. But with cryptocurrency and the volatility it has, you need to have really thick skin or just not look at the markets at all. Because today I could look at it and it could be up by 10%. I'll be euphoric and go, hey, what else can I sell around the house to go buy more crypto? Or on the days that they fall by 20, 30%, you think it's going to zero and you would end up panic selling. The pro and con, which is a catch-22 at this point, is that crypto is a 24/7 market, which means if you get really drunk on a Friday night and you decide I'm going to sell all my crypto, you can. Whereas with the stock market, you can't do that, especially on the weekends and after hours. Now that's the first quadrant of my portfolio, and this is the quadrant that I think has the lowest risk and also the lowest upside. And as we go into the next quadrant and the one after that, we will see the risk sort of increase higher, and that's why my allocation to these are significantly lower than my initial couple of investments. Now, the next highest portion of my portfolio is to Gala Games, which is 13% of my portfolio at the moment. I've spoken about previously why I would get into Gala Games. You should definitely go check out this video because it talks about some of the 10x opportunities that I think crypto has presented or will be presenting over the next 2 years. So definitely go check out that video because I do go in depth with a little bit more around the projects themselves. Next up, I have Ultra, which makes up 10% of the portfolio. And then following that is PokerStarter at 7%. Again, all of these coins I've spoken about in detail in that video, so definitely go check it out. This quadrant makes up 30% of my portfolio, so quite a large portion, especially when you look at the market caps for these projects. They're all relatively small, and the reason being is because they all fall under one branch, which is crypto gaming. I think the key thing here is that when you look at adoption, in my opinion, it's not really going to come from cutting edge technology that normies are going to have to figure out how it works. At the end of the day, a lot of it is very complex, and I look at this stuff a lot. Whereas gaming is super easy to understand. Imagine just picking up your phone and saying,
hey, this is a really cool game. Oh, and I can make money from it. All the economics behind it means I can go and sell my account later when I decide not to play anymore.
So it doesn't feel like a complete waste of time. It's almost like when you had Pokemon on Game Boy and you worked your way up, collected badges or collected all the Pokemon and then realized,
hey, I'm too old for this.
And then you go and throw your Game Boy in the back of your closet only to then move and find your Game Boy and say, hey, this is cool again. That's not a true story at all. Didn't happen to me. But back to crypto, this makes up 30% of my portfolio. So in total, 85% is now allocated to these coins. So what's left? Well, the next portion is 4% towards Beam, 4% towards Pyth, and 4% towards Vulcan Forge. Now, Beam is one of those projects that keep gaining momentum, and the more I look into it, the more I want to allocate towards it. The market cap sitting at around sort of 1.4 billion definitely has opportunities to go and do a 10, 15, 20x despite its high valuation at the moment. A lot of people are comparing its run to what IMX is doing, Immutable X. And if gaming does get that narrative play out where a lot of attention does come back onto that gaming space, especially in the bull run, you could see some astronomical numbers when it comes to these projects. For me, looking at Beam, I would be saying 8 to 12x is where I'd be looking at. With Gala, Ultra, and PokerStarter in that quadrant, I'm looking at sort of an 8 to 10x. And with Pyth, people much smarter than me have gone out and said, well, there are a lot of similarities between what they are doing and what Chainlink's done. And when you look at the market cap for what Chainlink is and where Pyth is at the moment, is completely absurd. Now, one thing I did realize in the last cycle that I wish I picked up a lot earlier was that old coins don't perform as well as the new coins in narratives. So an example of this was Solana. When you compared the Solana to say Cardano, Solana absolutely took off. I bought in an average price of about 20 USD and it went all the way up past like 200 USD. So it was a clean 10x. But what's important is when I did buy it at $20, it had already come from 95 cents. So although some of these projects have already started putting in multiples, it is still very early. And as the space grows, these market caps can get ridiculous in terms of how big they can actually be. Nothing is easy in life, but I think Vulcan Forge is there for the taking to do a 10 to 15x at this point. As long as they don't screw up, and that's the key here, is that any of these projects could majorly screw up, they could have a hack, and the token price could drop by 30 to 40%. That's why I like real estate, because none of that's gonna happen there. And if we had the house completely break down and we had insurance, it would be covered. The final quadrant is made up of 4 more tokens, which is Engine, Polis, Altura, and GameStarter. Now, this is only 3% of my entire portfolio. With Engine, yes, I felt like they could do something here, but it's an older coin, so I'm very mindful of that when I'm going in and DCAing into projects. With Polis, it is a high risk, high reward play. If they don't deliver a game, or they deliver a game and it's not that great, well then that investment is pretty much worth nothing. So to me, based on my risk appetite and where I see this market heading, it doesn't really make sense to me to be allocating such a large portion of my wealth in there. It's still quite difficult to go and buy Altura, especially here in Australia when you're looking at major exchanges and them not even having it. And the final one is GameStarter, similar story to Altura. I think these will do multiple X's, but am I willing to put a lot in? Yeah, probably not. That makes up my entire portfolio. If I'm looking at the total returns, I would love to walk away with a 7 to 8x across the entire portfolio. And the big factor that could completely change this is what NFTs do. If NFTs go on a run and they end up doing a 3 to 4x on their own floor prices, and we see ETH continue to perform doing a 4 to 5x, then that could be a huge multiple on this entire portfolio and completely change my numbers. If you're interested in how this all pans out and how my journey is with crypto in this bull cycle, definitely keep watching and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks guys.